All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Oh, thank you all very, very much. You can imagine how overwhelmed I am on a Friday to receive that warm, recorded welcome. And it is a great Friday at that. You can see Albert is on board.
Albert, thank
Kim
you.
is here as
Kim,
well.
how are you?
We've had a meeting, then we had a meeting about the meeting. We made notes on both meetings, then we had an additional meeting about those notes. We've met a lot today. We have a lot of people coming through. There is a magic to today's show. There is a volume to today's show. We're going to do a couple of things that we haven't done. We feel we've neglected a couple of major franchises like That's Rich, Law and Disorder. You will hear and see them both in this first hour. You'll also get Friday Fabulous Florida, Avila and Shure in hour 2, along with Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster as well. So it's a pretty, I know, it's pretty amazing. Now, there's been one screw up, and I don't have my Coachella Valley coffee with me, and I'm a bit bothered by that.
I blame you.
I don't know how to get it because there's no one here who can bring it to me. But I don't know what the plan will be, but I will get it before the end of the show. I want a full cup of Coachella Valley coffee. I made a giant pot of Coachella Valley coffee this morning. And the reason I make a giant pot of coffee on Fridays is because Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, comes through. And I, as you know, Kim, am naturally drawn to the role of host. I want my guests to have everything I can possibly provide to make their landing here at the Mark Thompson Show estate as comfortable as possible. And so the clarity blend, the magnificence of Coachella Valley coffee, the fresh brew from the fresh crop, it's all there.
You might not have yours. Magic. I have mine.
Yeah, you do have yours, which is not doing me any good, but it's
so good.
Very, very special.
How many
I do love that clarity blend that Albert is showing you. Coffee with lion's mane added, just so delicioso.
How many steps away is it? You want me to do a story while you run and get your coffee?
I might do that. It might do that.
Yeah.
I might do it, but I'm not going to do it right at the beginning of the show. I just think it's bad form. Come on and then take a break. So, yeah. Although, I think most people would be cool with it, but I don't want to push.
It would be rather Albert of you to,
Yeah. I'll be right back. Yesterday, Albert sent a private message to her. We have like a private thing where you go, hey, I got to step out for a minute or whatever.
Sure.
He sends a message showing, went to go get a glass of water. I'll be right back.
That's nice.
I was thinking, couldn't get a glass of water before the show started and just have it there if you need it? You know me, I'm a stern taskmaster. Yeah. I thought.
And now who's the guy who needs a drink?
Right, exactly. Right now, and here I am a day later with the.
I can pre-write this private message for us if you need it.
I am.
Couldn't get your coffee before the show.
Exactly. What happened?
Couldn't be more organized.
Right. Yeah.
I blame you.
Yeah, it's true that
I blame you.
I am to blame on this one. So
nothing.
I want to apologize.
Would you like to apologize for what you've done?
I would like to apologize. I'm very, very sorry.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, you guys can all go to hell.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to
Texas. Yeah. I'm plenty coffeed though. I've already had a couple of cups. I've got some stuff I want to get into, but before I get right to the news of the day, I want to welcome everyone. It's a 2-hour show live, 11 to 1 on the West Coast, 2 to 4 on the East Coast, and from around the world, we welcome you in. Thank you. We'll cover some news. We'll cover politics, and we do have a great relationship with the community of listeners and viewers. And in that spirit, I get an email, and I got this email from Franco.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Hi, Mark. I got a chance to talk to Spencer Christian at an event last night. We love our Spencer Christian. America's weatherman. I told him that I enjoy your show when he's on, and he told me about his friendship with you and how much he also loves to be on your show. We need to book him back soon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He also takes a good picture and makes me look dopey. I don't know about that. I mean, he does take a good picture. I don't think you look dopey. On a different note, any chance you and Courtney are going to the San Francisco Aid for Animals event in November? That's a very good, we haven't planned on it, but I would like to go. But anyway, let's get back to Franco and Spencer, both looking terrific. The way the picture is composed, it looks like those fixtures, the light fixtures above them are those old Star Trek, beamy. What is that? What was that? The transporter?
Yeah.
They look like they're being transported. Franco's a handsome dude, and Spencer's a handsome guy at all. Also, I mean, Spencer he's a TV guy, though. Of course, it's part of the reason he's on TV is because he's handsome. Franco's got the same look. He's got a good look. Great picture. Thank you for that. And we will discuss the San Francisco Aid for Animals event in November. That could be a reason to get to the Bay Area for sure. So thank you for that. I had one other email I thought, but I'm not sure that I can.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Put my hands on it right this instant, so it may have to wait until later.
We did get $5 from Wes.
Yeah.
What wisdom does Mark have for us today? Wes Theory, $5 super chat. First of all, thank you for the super chat. I don't know. Richard Delamater sent me a link to the Grateful Dead performing in Egypt. But Richard Delamater, for those who don't know, sort of our resident party boy, stoner, Hunter S. Thompson type, And he is recommending this Grateful Dead in Egypt performance. But he also said, it's better if you enjoy it in an altered state. So, I'm not going to, I did get this email. Here's the one I was looking for. And
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Tony says, hi, Mark. Thank you always for your excellent, very important podcast. Very nice to get. Always a good way to start an email. What hope do we have that the Epstein files will ever be released in their entirety? Even if Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna do manage to get those last two House Republican votes to pass this discharge petition, it still has to pass in the Senate, and then Trump has to sign it, which we know he will never do. Best, Tony from Venice, California. Well, I think the reality is that there are too many high-profile individuals involved on both sides, is what I wrote to him, meaning both parties, and also around the world, very popular men involved in this, for there to ever be an unvarnished file released. Just straight up, I'll say it. I don't think you'll ever get an unvarnished, an unredacted, or even in any way revealing file released. I think British intelligence, I've made this point on the show and I mentioned it in my response to him, I think British intelligence knows a lot of the details, which is why Prince Andrew has been ostracized. Mm-hmm. And obviously the FBI and Justice Department in this country are well aware of many of the specifics, and they are damning specifics at that, and they do involve, in large measure, Donald Trump, adjacent to or participating in or in his presence, a countenancing of what was going on, a tacit approval of what was going on. Ghislaine Maxwell recruited and groomed these women, these girls. They're 13 years old, 12 and 13. There were a range of ages, but there were many that were 12 and 13. So we know all of these things, and British intelligence knows it, and the U.S. Justice Department knows it, the FBI, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, all the guys who were demanding that the files be released, they all know it now. And they know Donald Trump's all over those files like a bad smell. So that's why everybody is all mum now. So I said there'll be drips and drabs and wildly redacted versions of these files released, but I don't believe we'll ever see anything but a carefully curated version of the Epstein files. Thanks again to Tony for his support. I thought it was a good, straight up question about the Epstein files and that try to be as succinct and straight up in the response. I just feel, I don't think, despite all of these different efforts, and it's a heavy lift to begin with, that we're going to see anything.
To your point about never seeing anything other than a curated Epstein file, did you hear about this guy caught on a hidden video?
This is a terrific revelation, what Kim is talking about. Go ahead, Kim.
This man was on this dating app called Hinge, and he was, I guess, talking to this woman about the Epstein files, and he's turns out he's an official with the Department of Justice.
Not to interrupt, but just when you say he was talking to this woman, he's on a date with her, so he is kind of speaking in a kind of across the fence way, without like in an official kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead. Yeah. So he's I think had a second date with this woman, and it's on the second date that he reveals that DOJ is going to, it's sort of like, don't worry, we're going to redact the names of all Republicans when we release anything from the Epstein files. Isn't that what was said?
Yeah, his name is Joseph Schnitt, and he's an official at the Department of Justice, and he's on this dating app with this woman, and he says, we'll never release any Republican names at all. We'll redact all the Republican names before we ever release any, Epstein file. We'll take a black pen to all of them. And this far-right media group, O'Keefe Media, was taping the whole thing. So I guess even the far-right people are it's weird when everyone seems to come together for a transparency on a certain issue, but it doesn't look good for this guy. He said, he tried to downplay what he was saying. But when he was speaking and thought no one else was listening except this au pair that he was trying to woo, this is what he says: we're never going to release any names on this Epstein file. So there's another marker for our trust in what gets released from the Trump administration.
Well, and it was, and to be fair, it's not just the Trump administration. Biden administration sat on it too. This is an incendiary file. There's a lot in there that's super radioactive. They don't want it out there. And the Department of Justice now, they're pushing back. They're saying, oh, no. But this guy is a senior Justice Department official. Mm-hmm. And this Project Veritas, which has done this kind of thing before, they usually are lighting up the Democrats, but in this case, it's a Republican from this administration who gets caught up in a Project Veritas sting, if you want to think of it that way. Yeah, it's a great coda to what we're talking about, because I don't think that you're going to see anything from the Epstein files anyway. See what I just said in terms of curation of that, and also just dry cleaning the files as they have. They reassigned supposedly 1,000 FBI agents to go over the files, to take out or at least be aware of any references to Donald Trump in all of this. So, David K. Johnson has referenced that in a conversation earlier this week. So, a bad jobs report and other news of the day leads us into
the Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah, it's a weak jobs report, and as a result, the Trump. Something's happened to me?
Well, no,
technically.
No,
what?
I just wonder. With the weak jobs report, who's getting fired today?
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah, fire the right. It was because it was
sucker.
Yeah, somebody's going to get fired.
This report.
Yeah, right. Who came in with the bad news to the Mad King? Yeah. U.S. employers adding just 22,000 jobs last month as the labor market continues to cool. A lot of this is uncertainty over the economic policies of this president, which change, by the hour. That is literally the whims of the Mad King affecting tariff policy, affecting sweating the Fed on interest rates. Hiring decelerated from 79,000 in July, came in below the roughly 80,000 the economists had expected for August. The unemployment rate ticked up to 4.3%. That's also worse than expected. highest level since 2021. When the Labor Department put out a disappointing jobs report a month ago, an enraged Trump responded by firing the economist in charge of compiling the numbers and nominating a loyalist to replace her. The real numbers are going to come out a year from now, the president said. He's big on putting off things. You know, the 2 weeks play is a big one, right? In 2 weeks, I'll have my announcement on Ukraine. In 2 weeks, I'll have my announcement. It's 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. This is a new one, which is, you know, you really won't know how the economy is for a year. So this is not good news. Factories getting rid of 12,000 jobs in August. It's the fourth straight month that manufacturers have cut payrolls. Construction companies cut 7,000 jobs. And the federal government, as you know, got rid of 15,000 workers. Healthcare and social assistance companies, that's a category that spans hospital to daycare centers. They added 47,000 jobs last month. Now they're 87% of the private sector jobs created in 2025. So they think that a lot of these job losses are related to the tariff situation, to a constricting economy. You haven't really seen this kind of job loss since COVID. During COVID, you had a tremendous job loss in America, right? But the disruption from COVID-19, at least you could, say that was a force majeure, that was almost act of God type stuff. This seems like a self-inflicted wound, but Trump says no big deal. And he didn't just say no big deal to the press. He had this big dinner last night. The dinner was, it was funny for the fact that Trump had all of the captains of industry in the tech world there. Not all of them, by the way. There were a couple of notable exceptions, but
Elon Musk's invitation got lost in the mail.
He got lost. And more on Elon Musk's compensation package in a moment. But Albert, you have a little bit of Trump with his opening remarks to everybody from, this is the Mark Zuckerberg's there, and these other sort of titans from the world of technology showed up, heads of Google, and as I mentioned, heads of Meta, et cetera. So they're all there at the dinner. And the one thing I'll say, these before we let this run, and you'll just hear Trump's opening remarks, is these tech CEOs got the memo that the cabinet officials got. That is, just over the top, lavish this dude with praise. There's nothing you can say that is going to seem too over the top. And they all spoke that way, effusively, about Donald Trump and his brilliance and how he's so good for tech in America. So that was the vibe of the dinner. But Trump spoke to sort of just round off the remarks.
Are gathered around this table. This is definitely a high IQ group, and I'm very proud of them. I know everybody at the table indirectly through reading about you and studying, knowing a lot about your business, actually. We're making it very easy for you in terms of electric capacity and getting it for you, getting your permits.
Thanks for hosting us. And this is quite a group to get together. And, I think, all of the companies here are building, just making huge investments in the country in order to build out data centers and infrastructure to power the next wave of innovation.
How much are you spending, would you say, over the next few years?
Oh, gosh. I think it's probably going to be something like, I don't know, at least $600 billion through 28 in the U.S. Yeah.
It's a lot.
No, it's significant.
Yeah, not bad. I do think that Donald Trump is thinking, and how much of that is coming to me? And he's got, and if you think that's me just being a jerk, he has a new meme coin, doesn't he, Kim? He has a new, the meme coin is one of the great ways in which Donald Trump has flourished during this time as president. It's what he's really become a legit billionaire this way. And I believe he has a new one, doesn't he?
I know that his Bitcoin treasury and mining company that they have, it's called American Bitcoin. It went public yesterday. Started trading Wednesday rather on the Nasdaq stock market. So
Yeah.
they're thinking that, it's making a lot of money for the family, the Trump family. Yeah.
This piece suggests that, again, there is, despite the fact of the coin's falling value, Trump's overall crypto deal insulates them from the actual value of the coin. Donald Trump and his family's cryptocurrency ventures continue to be among the most blatantly corrupt activities of the president's second term, and they appear to have been structured to insulate the family brand from the currency's poor performance. The family just this week began trading their meme coin. It happened on Monday. It's the World Liberty Token. Met with a tepid reception, as Kim was saying, akin to the Trump vodka or the Trump steaks. I mean, it's sort of in that same tepid way in which all these Trump products roll out. But here's how this deal allows the Trump family to profit anyway. This is from the New York Times. The Trump family's cryptocurrency venture, known as World Liberty Financial, had a tepid first day of open market trading on Monday, surging in value initially before losing most of those gains. But because of an unusual insider arrangement, the Trump family was still assured a considerable payday as its expanding universe of crypto ventures continued to break norms for business dealings by presidential family. The idea is that all these meme coins, buying and selling them, are done on the Trump crypto platform. The Trump crypto platform then makes money on every transaction. It's just like Charles Schwab or E-Trade. They make money on every transaction. So buy or sell, I don't care what it's worth, because if you sell it, I make money. If you buy it, I make money. So this guy who is gutting federal programs and single-handedly taxing American shoppers with this trade war has a get-rich-quick scheme with this meme coin traded on this platform. So that's the latest with Trump, with tech, and with the dinner among tech executives. And while we're on tech executives, the richest man in the world may have the biggest compensation deal in the world.
Yeah, don't feel bad that Elon Musk was not invited to the big tech dinner at the White House. He'll be fine.
He seems to be pretty well taken care of. He is looking to increase the value of the electric car company Tesla from just over $1 trillion to $8.5 trillion over 10 years. I mean, again, that's not what's happened. That's what he'll have to do. But if he does it, if he hits those targets set by Tesla, and of course, he's running Tesla now. He's finished gutting government for the moment. Now he's on to Tesla. He will have this incentive package, unprecedented in corporate history, in a section of their latest stock market update. And it specifies, yes, you read that correctly. If you increase the value of Tesla from just over $1 trillion now to $8.5 trillion over 10 years, he will get shares that will make him not only the world's richest man, but give him $2 trillion in wealth. Estimates of Musk's current net worth vary, but a live ranking of the world's wealthiest people on the planet compiled by Forbes estimates that he has a fortune of about $430.9 billion. In second place.
He's heading for the trillionaire category.
Yeah, a billion here, a billion there. It turns into real money. In second place with $272.3 billion is Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison. Again, this incentive plan revealed in this filing at the SEC comes at a time when many observers have questioned whether Musk's outspoken political views could be holding Tesla back. I had a conversation with somebody because I dumped my Tesla, and I really like Tesla. I love the car. I had two of them, and somebody said, "You didn't get rid of the Tesla because of politics, did you?" Like you said it like that. You didn't get rid of the Tesla because of politics. Yeah, that's exactly why I got rid of it. I also didn't like. It has a very stiff drive. They have like a 22-inch rims on them. Those wheels. Albert, do you know anything about that stuff? Or Kim?
No.
It's a very stiff ride, so you feel the road. And when you're driving on the roads in America, a lot of the time, they're crappy, and so you feel the entire thing. So the new car doesn't have that problem. It's a cushier ride, which is good. Anyway, that's the update on Elon Musk. So don't sweat him. He's in pretty good shape in terms of compensation. Kennedy Center ticket sales take a nosedive. Trump's taken over the Kennedy Center. He's finally civilized, get it away from that wokeism and DEI. The big DEI musical's not going to happen this fall.
What?
I know. I was going to Washington for the DEI musical. But the reality is pretty grim. Ticket sales at the Kennedy Center have continued to plummet. Apparently, the houses are going to be less than 20% full. Audiences are voting with their feet to skip out. Once these shows would have been packed in protest, the U.S. president inserting himself into the center's management and operation as its new chairman amid discussions around the notion of renaming the Kennedy Center after Trump. That's led to an 80% drop-off in ticket sales. 80%. Looks like they may be papering the house, giving away tickets to fill the house. In weed news,
Where are my weed smokers at?
the tycoon who led to push decriminalization of cannabis has now become the prime minister in Thailand. Isn't that right? It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Anutin Charnvirakul.
Wow. Very, very well done, Kim. Anutin Charnvirakul, a staunch royalist, has been appointed by lawmakers as Thailand's next prime minister. Days of heated negotiations and political drama. He's 58 years old. This tycoon turned politician, considered a conservative, but he did make a name for himself for leading a campaign to decriminalize cannabis, everyone. Yeah. He was voted in after a chaotic scramble by parties on both sides to gain enough support to replace the ousted prime minister, who was removed from office by a court ruling. So the new guy is a rich guy and a weed smoker. Keep that in mind if you go to Thailand. And now, some pretty serious stuff when it comes to Trump.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Yeah. A little late on that drop, but all right, I'll take it. Okay.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I don't know if you were aware of, the situation with, we're going to talk a lot of politics, obviously, in the second hour with Michael Shure and Jim Avila. We'll get into the RFK Jr. stuff on Capitol Hill. I'll play you some more of that. We played that, quite a bit of it yesterday. But I do think it worth noting that the states, we noted this yesterday, are getting together, 3 Western states, of course, Washington, Oregon, and California, getting together to form their own vaccine policies, as the vaccine policies from the CDC are pretty well being vacated. But I thought it was very notable today that on Trump's brutal, witheringly cruel and completely misguided immigration policy that was represented as we're going to close the border, which is everybody was okay with that. That's one of the things I think that buoyed his presidency. And then we're going to go against violent criminals who are already in this country. I think everybody was okay with that. You're going with against violent criminals. You're going to put together these groups who are there to figure out where these MS-13 dudes are and the Tren de Agua, or whatever his Tren de Agua thing. Of course, they didn't do that at all, right? I mean, almost none of the people who have been rounded up, placed in concentration camps, shipped off to various countries, almost none of them fall into the category of violent criminals. I mean, fewer than 1%. So today, this just broke. At least 475 workers detained in a major ICE raid at the U.S. Hyundai factory. South Korea is now concerned after hundreds were arrested at this Georgia work site. They were making batteries for Hyundai and Kia cars. The facility is part of what would be the biggest industrial investment in the state's history and had been hailed as a huge boost for the economy by Georgia's Republican governor, Brian Kemp. About 475 workers arrested, according to U.S. immigration officials, the largest single-site enforcement operation in the history of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, which was created, of course, after 9/11 and now has swelled to be the biggest government agency there is. But the Korea Economic Daily earlier reporting about 560 workers at the Hyundai facility and LG Energy Solutions had been detained. They cited unidentified industry sources. 300 of these people are South Korean nationals. Hyundai Motor is a South Korean automotive company who has many international plants, and among them is this plant in Georgia that they had high hopes for. So this is a huge setback to the company's project in Georgia, and it's a dramatic example of what Donald Trump and this administration is doing. So you're going to a place. Now, you can argue that we should get immigration status that is squared away legally for all of these people working at that plant. And I'd suggest, great, yes, agreed. But the other thing I'd suggest is that this plant and many economic engines like this plant that are in other areas, agriculture, healthcare, construction, they are all being hobbled by this overly aggressive immigration policy. So you're taking hardworking immigrants and you're rounding them up, putting them in places like Alligator Alcatraz, that place in Louisiana now, which is now going to be, I think it's 18,000 acres is what they're looking at. And you're going to deport them, maybe after a lengthy, awful, torturous stay in all of these places. It isn't a well thought out policy. So they're arresting many of these workers and detaining all of them.
You had a story yesterday. 1.2 million immigrants are now gone from the United States, from the workforce, because of Trump's immigration policies. That's 1.2 million jobs where people were working and now they are not, right?
It's really why the economy will suffer and continues to suffer. And you know, you really don't need the CSI team to figure this mystery out. The reality is, it's clear. You are hobbling the economy in many ways. The tariffs and the immigration policy are the two leading ways in which this economy is going to be hobbled.
I know that there's a difference when you're talking about a jobs report and a weak jobs report and how many jobs are open. There's a difference, though. I wonder if there's a correlation between the 1.2 million people who were working in the United States and are now not, and the number of jobs that are dropping that are open in the United States.
Yeah, this is where you get into the jobs numbers as to whether or not these jobs have been eliminated.
Yeah.
Or exactly what the status is of these jobs. That's why I gave you a little sort of super mini breakdown on where the jobs were coming from, where,
Sure.
you know, but yeah, that's the, I mean, the thing about this is that you're dealing with, in the case of Hyundai and in the case of this South Korean company, you're dealing with a demand, I'll just call it, from the Trump administration that the plants be built in this country, that labor be employed in this country.
Yeah.
So these are demands from this administration, and they back it up with, we're going to tariff the crap out of you, and we're going to make your life really awful if you don't build and employ people in this country. And that puts tremendous pressure on these foreign nations and foreign companies to build infrastructure and employ people in this country. So in this case, you have 2 car companies that have done that. I mean, this is a huge, they pledged $26 billion, Hyundai has, $26 billion to capital commitments in U.S. investments in this, in this new America.
Mm-hmm.
But now you greet those commitments. They just made that $26 billion commitment in the last couple of weeks. You greet that with this. Again, it's just so poorly thought out. This crew that's in Washington, they're basically incompetent. I mean, Kristi Noem and the Department of Homeland Security, they are screwing this up, and it has real world effects. So I'm skeptical as to, how they're going to really build an engine of growth in the economy if you pull stuff like this. I mean, this is a huge number of people rounded up, almost 600 people. They pull them right out of the plant.
I mean, I would imagine that the plant won't be able to function without those workers.
There are a bunch of subcontractors, they think, that work at the site. They're now going through and trying to figure it out. But by the way, they should have figured it out ahead of time before you bust everybody. Everybody puts on their outfits and their cosplay and their jackets that say FBI and their jackets that say DEA and, U.S. Customs and Border. They put on their masks and their dark glasses, their Oakleys. And then they wrap up these people and they brutalize them like nightclub bouncers. They grab them. They cuff them. Dude, they're working on the assembly line. They're working building batteries. You don't need to treat them like drug lords. But that's what we do. Anyway, South Korea and the U.S. has been, there have been negotiations, and they're trying to navigate the tariffs already. There's a 15% tariff rate on most imports from South Korea. And that was negotiated in exchange for $350 billion in investment in the U.S. from South Korea. But I'd say, this is a joint venture, 2 South Korean companies, Hyundai, and then the South Korean energy manufacturer, that's that LG Energy Solution.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is part of a $7.6 billion Hyundai complex there in Georgia. It's the largest manufacturing project in Georgia's history. So talk to the Georgians about this. I mean, once they get this plant finished, it's supposed to supply batteries to nearby electric vehicle plants and for Hyundai Motors. 8,500 people are supposed to be employed by the end of 2031. So this is a big project, and you can't keep hobbling these big projects this way. But that's the way it's getting done. So,
well, who does have a job, Mark? Eric Adams. Whether he wins for mayor of New York or not, he will have a job.
Yes, it's true. And the thing about Eric Adams that you need to know is that
The Mark Thompson Show.
The thing you need to know about Eric Adams is that he made a deal with the Justice Department, of course. They made this deal where they said, we're not going to prosecute you as long as you don't get in the way of ICE in New York. In fact, if you'll help ICE in New York, we really will look upon you favorably. But we're not dismissing the charges against you. We're just deciding we're not going to prosecute you right now. So he's kind of got this legal sort of Damocles hanging over him, but the latest with Eric Adams is that they are considering him for a role as ambassador to Saudi Arabia. Isn't that right, Kim?
Yes, Saudi Arabian ambassador. That's what it looks like.
What?
It's all part of Trump trying to meddle in the election for New York City mayor. He says he wants this to be a 2-person race.
Hmm.
He's looking for, I think, Cuomo and Mamdani. And he doesn't want Eric Adams to, I guess, take away the chances of beating Mamdani in this race.
Yeah.
So he wants Eric Adams to go to Saudi Arabia instead.
Yeah. So he's sending just like Don Jr.'s ex-girlfriend, Kimberly Guilfoyle, to be sent to Greece. Yeah.
Sayonara, sucker.
Yeah, you don't need to break up with her. We'll just send her to Greece. So you don't need to worry.
We haven't heard from her in a while, right?
Yeah.
She's gone.
I don't want to break up with Kimberly. Isn't there a way we could just send her somewhere? Oh, I got it. Don't worry. I'm sending her to Greece. By the way, I love the new girl you're nailing. She's terrific.
God.
So Eric Adams, again, being considered for an ambassadorship to Saudi Arabia. And again, he's not popular. I mean, he's got single-digit polling in New York. And the idea that he would even go for a second term is a bit laughable. But as Kim has said, this is all electioneering. It's all engineering the election. And the one thing I can say, because he was accused of accepting bribes from Turkey, travel, hotel, that kind of thing, that he won't be bribed at all as an ambassador to Saudi Arabia. I mean, those Saudi Arabians, they play it straight.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
They play it straight, don't they? Yeah. They don't.
He knows how to operate in these worlds, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe
Captain
Kim's
King.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe this is actually a really good spot for him, you know. So
Dipped and then deep fried in the world of bribery and corruption.
Mayor Adams, how would you like to see some more gold here in our bag?
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
That's right, cash in our bag. So we'll see. Trump really doesn't like Mamdani, and he wants to stop him in any way he can, you know. But Cuomo is still in the race, running as an independent.
I do hug and kiss people casually.
Yes, and
For New York, their choices are really limited there.
it's true. I mean, it's wild because they have a pretty, I thought, sophisticated crew. I mean, of people voting, but apparently, not as sophisticated as we thought. And anyway, it's a lot of unpopular people running for the mayorship of New York, and perhaps Eric Adams will end up as the Saudi ambassador. I did.
The Mark Thompson Show.
A Venezuelan fighter jet flew over the U.S. Navy ship in the waters off of Venezuela.
Venezuela has fighter jets?
2 Venezuelan F-16 fighter jets, everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. You recognize those? Yeah. According to multiple Defense Department officials, the Venezuelan fighter jets flew over the USS Jason Dunham. It just happened yesterday. The Dunham is an Aegis-guided missile destroyer. It's among the flotilla of U.S. warships that were sent to the region in recent weeks. The Pentagon says they've been deployed to target criminal organizations and narco-terrorism. Venezuelans not crazy about the Americans being there. And as you are aware, the Americans took out what they said was a transport vessel for narcotics, right? But that is still a bit unclear. They said it was carrying drugs from Venezuela, but it was a bit of a shoot first and ask questions later kind of situation, wasn't it?
We'll never know because they completely obliterated this boat, the ship, and they say they're not sorry, and that anybody else that they think may be carrying drugs off the coast of Venezuela or wherever, they'll fire on those boats too, and they just blew it up.
Yeah, they claimed that it.
They didn't try to take anyone into custody. They didn't do a search of the boat to see how many, they could seize the drugs. They just blew the holy hell out of it.
Yeah, they said it was owned by the Venezuelan gang Tren Agua. And when queried about this, I watched an interview with Pete Hegseth, in which he was asked about it. And he said the question was, don't you think that there should have been some kind of shouldn't you have made sure that there were drugs on board? I mean, it was really, it was a judge, jury, and executioner there the way it was done. And he said, no. He said, this is what we're sent to do. This is what we're going to do. We're here to protect the American people. Those drugs were headed into America to Americans, and we're here to protect Americans. This is national security. Blah 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 blah. But I mean, done and done. It was probably illegal what was done. I mean, but too late. I mean, these guys are not really bound by legalities typically. And look, I'm not shedding any tear for those who were involved in the drug trade that way.
Right.
But I would just say as an aside that we don't know they were involved in the drug trade. They could be fishermen. I mean, they really could be.
No idea. We don't know
we
what
blew
was
them up
on that boat because they didn't give anybody a chance to check it out.
Yeah.
And that's not usually the way we do things, right? I mean, weird.
I promised, and young Albert has just reminded me, I promised a That's Rich. We've got big political segment coming up with Jim Avila and Michael Shure. We have Friday Fabulous Florida still to come. And we like to keep an eye once in a while, occasionally, on the moneyed class. This is That's Rich.
Who are they?
The top 1/10 of 1%.
What are they like?
These people are so posh and snobby, they're snotty.
That's Rich on the Mark Thompson Show.
Well, the deal that was made by the Los Angeles Clippers is supposedly going to pay Kawhi Leonard $28 million. And some of that money is coming through a job that doesn't exist. Journalist Pablo Torre laid out these allegations on his podcast. He cited legal documents claiming that the owner of the LA Clippers employed Kawhi Leonard for a non-existent role in one of his companies, and that was to get around the NBA salary cap. The NBA has a salary cap. You can't pay, too much for players' salaries, otherwise you're punished by the NBA, right? You can only, otherwise people would just spend, and so there's a salary cap. I mean, it's a high salary cap, but it's there. So apparently the owner of the Clippers, Steve Ballmer, partially funded what is now a defunct tree planting company called Aspiration.
Well, that's fun.
That company then supposedly entered into a $28 million agreement with KL2 Aspire, which is a company owned by Kawhi Leonard. Torrey says, this is the journalist, that he could find no evidence that Leonard ever performed any work for Aspiration. And
they were planting trees, Mark. How can you prove they weren't planting trees?
I drove by a few times. They seemed like they had it together. I didn't need to stop.
28 million. That's a lot of trees.
There was a clause in the contract between Kawhi Leonard's company, Aspire, and Aspiration, effectively allowing Leonard to be paid even if he did no work. Excuse me. Another clause said that the deal would be voided if Leonard left the Clippers. One former employee of Aspiration told Torrey, again the reporter, that he had heard the deal with Leonard had been set up to circumvent the salary cap.
Oh, my.
Clippers and Ballmer deny the allegations. The NBA investigating, and we will see. Commish, any word on this? Clippers could be fined up to $4.5 million for their first attempt to get around the salary cap. I know that.
Very creative. I hope my teams do this. I like that. Be a little more slick about it. But Ballmer has been going on ESPN. He's been very upfront about it, against it. So he's not kind of like disappearing and hiding, and so he's clearly in denial of the allegations.
Yeah, he's not a fan, I guess, of this entire. But as you say, he's been proactive, to use the word, getting out there. I saw something on ESPN
appearing
last
on
night.
national media the past 2 days already.
Ugly as hell. is the private plane spotted along the West Coast. This is a private 737 MAX 8 with an unusual taupe and black coloring scheme.
It's not cute.
It was spotted in Medford, Oregon. And according to aviation enthusiasts on social media, it may belong to two billionaire brothers who made a fortune off of the mixed martial arts world. The FAA website shows that the plane is registered under a trust, but other plane tracking websites list the specific company as the owner, and some online users have floated the possibility that it specifically belongs to these brothers who made a fortune off the UFC in the 2010s. According to Plane Logger, in 2021, the aircraft was also owned by the brothers' father, Frank Fertitta Jr. The brothers are Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta. There's no flight data recorded for the aircraft. It was parked in Medford for quite some time. And the Medford people don't love it because they think it looks ugly. Albert, showing it to you now, and it does look ugly. It looks
oddly colored. Yeah.
It looks very military. I don't know. It looks like a military plane.
Mm-hmm.
The two billionaire brothers, who are each based in Las Vegas, acquired their mass sums of wealth after purchasing the UFC for $2 million in 2001. They resold it for $4 billion in 2016. Forbes reporting in 2016, they also took their business enterprise Red Rock Resorts public and sold the remaining UFC stakes for $5 billion in 2017. So you put it all together, it's a $4 billion in 2016. It's $5 billion in 2017. That's real money.
And an ugly colored plane, you know.
They have a super yacht, by the way. That same crew, they have a super yacht, 285-foot super yacht. And of course, when you have a super yacht that big, just to finish the thought, they have the companionship. That's where the staff is. You know, that's where they keep the croissant. They keep them over on the supply ship.
It's a trailing garage. So
yes,
they have their 285-foot long super yacht. It's called the Lonian, and it's a companion ship called the Hodor. And it's a trailing garage. It has all the all-terrain vehicles, a helicopter, several motorcycles, and they tow it behind the super yacht. Imagine having so much money that you have a yacht for your stuff.
Well, I mean, Kim, you don't want that stuff on the main ship. I totally get that. I wouldn't expect that you necessarily understand it. But, when you're mega wealthy, you're going to many different mega wealthy exotic ports of call, and you want your ATV vehicles, and you want all your stuff like that to be close by until you have the trailing ship. So that's what's going on there. And your helicopter, I don't need to tell you, you don't want that on the main ship.
No.
Of course not. The new brand of billionaire is keeping all that stuff on a trailing ship, as you say. That, my friends, is how the moneyed class lives, and that is that rich.
More on how the other half lives.
These people aren't just rich, they're crazy rich.
Next time on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
I am so excited. We've got a full hour of the show still to go with Michael Shure and Jim Avila coming through along with the Culture Blaster. And in seconds, I'll be getting to Friday Fabulous Florida, something that we brought over from the radio show. Continues to be a fan favorite. I am also going to just previewing Friday Fabulous Florida. How do you feel about it today, Albert?
Good. Very good. If we want to get to it now or at the bottom of the hour, we could get to some quick headlines from Kim.
That's right. I forgot. We've moved Friday Fabulous Florida to the bottom of the hour, so it follows Jim Avila and Michael Shure. That's right. Thank you, Albert. That's why you do what you do.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah. And,
coffee break time, possibly, for you.
I'm going to run but I like to comment on the news, so I will.
There's that.
There is that. Smash the like button like a boss, if you would.
Smash it with your
iron rod.
Do it for the new ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Eric Adams, everybody.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
Not the Saudi Arabian ambassador yet, but that's the talk. But it helps us in the world of YouTube to get thumbs up. It's weird, I know, but it costs you nothing, so appreciate that. And please do share the show or segments from the show. That helps spread our footprint and grow the show. So again, thank you all who support the show in all the different ways that you do. Kim's news and my comments. And then Avila and Shure join next. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report is sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Just steps away in Mark's kitchen. Don't you want some?
I do.
And an ICE immigration enforcement surge is underway right now in Boston. The acting head of ICE, Todd Lyons, confirming to Fox News officers are rounding up the, quote, worst of the worst criminal aliens.
Yeah, so is it car washes they find the worst of the worst, or is it where
parking lot? Yeah. When reports of the surge came out earlier this week, Michelle Wu, the Democratic mayor of Boston, accused President Trump of attacking her city to hide his administration's failures. Lyons says it's Wu's sanctuary city laws protecting criminal illegal immigrants. Reports say ICE may be planning a similar surge in Chicago, but again, it is underway now in Boston. President Trump set to make an announcement from the Oval Office this afternoon. The White House is not providing details about what it's about, but it comes as he is expected to sign an executive order to rename the Department of Defense the Department of War. The president's appearance will follow a weaker than expected jobs report released this morning as well. So it's a good thing we're going to have the Department of War. The president is being sued by Washington, D.C. over the deployment of National Guard troops on city streets. The city's Democratic Attorney General says federal law bars the military from acting as local police. Comes as the D.C.'s mayor says the troops have brought down crime, but she also called their presence troubling. A federal judge ruled earlier this week the Trump administration's deployment of National Guard troops here in California was illegal. President Trump's plans to mark September 11th include a memorial event and a trip to New York City for a baseball game. The president scheduled to start the day at the Pentagon to honor the service members and civilians killed there on 9/11. Vice President J.D. Vance will be at Ground Zero for the 24th time of the terrorist attack, or the anniversary, I should say, of the terrorist attack. Later in the day, there are multiple reports Trump plans to fly to New York City to watch the Yankees take on the Detroit Tigers. CBS News finds itself once again in the crosshairs of the Trump administration after Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem accused the network of making selective edits to her interviews on Sunday's Face the Nation. CBS now says in response to audience feedback, it will now only broadcast live or live-to-tape interviews on the talk show. The announcement comes after CBS's parent company, Paramount, agreed to pay Trump $18 million to settle a lawsuit over 60 Minutes interviews that had aired with a former Vice President, Kamala Harris. So now we have no more editing, apparently, on CBS. Airlines will have to compensate passengers for flight delays. Last December, the Biden administration proposed a plan requiring airlines to pay passengers up to $300 cold hard cash for 3-hour delays, up to $700 for longer delays. On Thursday, the Department of Transportation said it was dropping the plan consistent with department and administration policies. So again, now under Trump, the airlines will not have to pay compensate passengers for flight delays.
How many times do consumers need to get effed over by the GOP and by this administration to realize they are not advocates for you? They don't care about you. By the way, you can say, well, Mark, they're all, let's face it, Democrats and Republicans, it's all the same. They're working for big business. Again, yes, you're right. The world of politics is awash in America with money. But again, there's a spectrum of corruption. there is a spectrum of all of these things. There's a spectrum of advocacy for consumers. It can be performative, where I just say when I'm Donald Trump, I'm here for you. I'm going to Washington to represent your interests. We're going to drain the swamp. And then there are others who say it and then do it in a tepid way and put up what you might consider sort of a tepid resistance to the big money of corporations and business. And then there are others who lean in with a kind of consumer advocacy that you do find among some, even those who you would consider compromised. Like, I get it, Elizabeth Warren isn't your dream date in every way. She takes corporate money or whatever your issue is with Elizabeth Warren, some of which I agree with. But the idea, she set up a bureau of government to represent consumers. So there were those on Capitol Hill that actually responded to their constituents who were angry about the fact that the airlines were taking advantage of them. There was no recourse, in effect, for these lengthy flight delays. And to call them lengthy is to be polite. Some of these flight delays go on for 10, 11 hours. And there was no way you're trapped on a tarmac. The bathrooms are overflowing, whatever the deal is. There have been some egregious, extreme examples of the abuse that consumers have taken. You need legitimate politicians to represent the consumers in relation to this stuff. And what we've just seen, apparently, I'm learning from Kim's news from this administration is, where now you'll have no recourse. Isn't that essentially what the story is?
Yeah, they're not going to give you cash. If your flight's delayed, they used to have to pay you $300 to $700, and now they don't have to.
And the reality is, this disincentivizes the delays, right? Because there is a real world, and I hate to say it, but it's money that these businesses and corporations care about and should care about. I mean, after all, they're trying to serve a bottom line. Those penalties, they're real, and they serve to, you can look at it as disincentivize, or incentivize being on time, if you want to think of it that way. That's how this stuff works. So to me, it's again, another example of the performative nature of populism and populist rhetoric in politics. But when it actually comes down to repping for the consumer, they're MIA.
That's nice. They're not supposed to represent us or anything. There is a recent poll predicting presidential candidate frontrunners in the next election. Emerson College polling showed Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom and Republican Vice President J.D. Vance are currently tied for support in the 2028 presidential election. Will it be Newsom v. Vance? The poll also finding Newsom and Vance were tied at 44% in a hypothetical head-to-head matchup, with 12% of respondents undecided. Newsom surging as the front runner of the Democratic Party and appears to be gaining ground on Vance, who held a 3-point advantage in polling from July. A Louisiana senator is calling for better inspections of foreign seafood following the discovery of a radioactive isotope in containers used to ship shrimp to the United States from Indonesia. Republican John Kennedy standing in front of a photo of the alien from the movie Alien as he made a plea on the Senate floor, saying, even if it doesn't turn you into the alien, if you eat this stuff, I guarantee you'll grow an extra ear. Kennedy claims that federal inspectors only look at 1% of foreign seafood coming into the U.S. on a good day, 2%. In comparison, he says the United Kingdom inspects at least 50% of imported seafood.
I will say this, to be fair, those radioisotopes are delicious. I mean, you have to marinate them, but man, they can taste terrific.
How else, Mark, are you going to put the light inside the body?
Right, okay? Thank
you. Hi, Albert.
Michael Shure is standing by. He is here.
I see him there. Yes, I see him.
I will wrap it up.
He looks annoyed. He looks annoyed. I don't know why.
He loves the news. He lives for the
I'm
news.
sure he's annoyed with me. He's always annoyed with me. No, not the news.
He came in time for, the most riveting stories of the day. This year's MTV VMAs will pay tribute to the late Ozzy Osbourne. The show is set to feature a tribute to the heavy metal icon with the performance from Aerosmith's Steven Tyler and Joe Perry, Youngblood, and Nuno Betancourt. The MTV VMAs will take place on Sunday in New York.
That's not fake. That's real.
No, you're holding your breath. You were waiting for this, but Justin Bieber, it's true. He's dropping a surprise album called Swag 2. He dropped a new album in July called Swag, and now he's got Swag 2. It's streaming now, and it's got 23 brand new Justin Bieber songs.
Wow,
that's
pretty impressive. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
Boxing icons Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather Jr. are set to fight. They are agreeing to an exhibition match set for next spring. Aren't these guys kind of old to be doing this stuff?
Tyson's like my dad's age, and my dad died last year.
Oh no. Mayweather said in a press release that if he's going to do something, it's going to be big and it's going to be legendary. Details on the number of rounds and the weight will be revealed at a later date. But yeah, it's another. And haven't we seen this matchup before? Like, how many times do you see the same crap over and over again? Meanwhile, the jackpot for the Powerball drawing on Saturday night has swelled to $1.8 billion. And if you were to win it, you would walk away with $826 million if you took get the cash now option.
Wow.
And you're not going to win because the odds are 1 in 292 million that
I'm a bit skeptical. I mean, people do win.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
You're paying $2 for a few hours of hope. This report is sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com.
Oh, yeah, baby. I went all the way to the kitchen to get my Coachella Valley coffee, and it is delicioso.
What's in the cup today?
I went the El Cotillo Espresso. But I grind it for a drip. So this is a drip coffee. Even though it says espresso on there, I grind it for drip. I really like it as a drip coffee, but they're great tasting profiles under all of our beans, all the beans that are featured there on Coachella Valley. I'd say our beans. I feel almost like ownership in the, I'm not an owner in the company. In fact, I used to drink the coffee before they even became sponsors on the show. And I'm so excited that they're here. This is the very best coffee I've ever tasted. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Yeah. What's that?
It makes my life better. Honestly, it makes my life better. I'm not even lying. Not gonna lie, makes my life better. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com is the website, and please take advantage of the Mark Thompson Show discount. It is Mark T, no spaces. It gets you 10% off, so get a little discount as on your way out. And if you check out the website, they have great tasting notes, so you know exactly what you're getting. The website again is CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is the Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
Feels good. When they raided Mar-a-Lago, God didn't like that.
Right on, everybody. Thanks for being here. Really excited about our next guest. He is someone who you have seen, perhaps, reporting from many different locations and locales. I think he covered over 50 Trump rallies, went out there in the bitter cold, and has covered politics ever since he was old enough to hold a microphone. He's amazing. He's forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever even know. He is the brilliant Michael Shure, everybody.
Happy Friday, everyone. I'm still lamenting, not coming in on the heels of Friday Fabulous Florida.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I mean, you can stick around. We'll do it after you. So if you want to,
that's a big ask.
We'll leave some time for sports at the end of our little.
I think it's going to be sports that we both like, Mark.
Yeah, I think so too. I am excited about talking. I always get excited around this time of year because of the U.S. Open and football, and it all comes together in one miraculous package at the end of this conversation. So, look, I want to start with immigration policy because there was a huge immigration roundup yesterday in Georgia. at the
Was
Hyundai.
it, I think it was at Alabama at the Hyundai factory. I thought maybe it is Georgia. I thought it was Alabama.
Yeah, it was Georgia. But but this time of year, Georgia and Alabama, very similar. But it is true that this is a huge roundup. Over 500 workers at this Hyundai plant were taken in this Georgia facility, which was designed to really represent the investment of foreign companies in America. It's part of the huge commitment that South Korea has made to building plants for Hyundai and Kia in America. Anyway, I mention it because on the heels of that, there's a huge roundup of, again, those who are undocumented here illegally. That's being done in Boston right now while we're talking. And I want, obviously, to get your comment just in general on this, but I also want to talk about the politics of this, because this is something that you know so well, and how this plays over time, because this sort of thing is ramping up, and these aren't criminals that are being taken into custody, as was represented in a lot of the campaign rhetoric. You know, the violent criminals, they're eating our dogs, eating our cats, whatever his deal is, MS-13, et cetera. This seems to be a group of people who are hardworking and contributing to the American economy, at least to the extent that we've been able to, learn who these people are.
Yeah, so it's all politics, right? At its very core, this is something that he ran on. It's something that he won on, and it's something that he's had no problem executing in cities and states around the country. It's where this administration is choosing to fight in the streets. It's causing upheaval, but it also is something that independent voters, maybe not in its execution, but independent voters came to Trump on issues of the cost of a dozen eggs and illegal immigration. And so he's delivering on a promise here. That said, how he's doing it, the haphazard way in which he is doing it, and like you said, Mark, leaving the mission aside and just going after anybody who may happen to be here without papers illegally. And so to that end, this is a part of the showmanship of Donald Trump. The first term was, we're going to build a wall. We couldn't get the wall built. We got a panel or two up and we took pictures with it. So what are we going to do this time? We're going to go in there and we're going to actually go after people that are already here, rather than stemming the tide in the way that we wanted to do it anyway. And so it is very performative, but until we know otherwise, it is politically expedient in certain places. I don't see how it would be in Massachusetts. It already is in Alabama and Georgia and the Deep South. And he's doing it in California, and he's also sending the National Guard in to fight crime in big cities. And that is something that people in Middle America pay attention to. It doesn't have to happen in your backyard in order for people to see that happening.
Now, when you say people in Middle America pay attention to it, so it's a political winner, you're saying, for...
Until proven otherwise, it is. I don't believe that it endures to be a political winner, but there are people... who were in the middle, who were polled on this issue during the campaign, who said it's a number one issue for him. And what did he do? He painted immigrants as people who eat cats and dogs. He painted immigrants as people who are other and that are lawbreakers, that are rapists and murderers. He had Laken Riley's family out there with him. So he points to everything that is bad about immigration, rather than pointing to what is wonderful about it, which is the overwhelming majority of people that are in this country, legally and illegally from other countries, are fine and tax-paying and participatory and legal in terms of the way they conduct their lives. And so if you go after and you paint these people who eat cats and dogs and who kill, a girl, unfortunately, that's going to get your focus. So if you're sitting in Iowa, where you're not in a border state, and, yes, there are lots of new Iowans of Hispanic origin, but they're not, as proximate to the issue of immigration on a daily basis. And you see this administration fighting immigration in the way that they are and rooting out what they say is evil. It's a political winner, unfortunately.
I'm looking just in the Wall Street Journal, though, they suggest that, they have navigated through these tariff negotiations, a 15% tariff that is, down from what was threatened, in exchange for South Korea investing $350 billion in the U.S. And this factory is being built by a joint venture between South Korea's Hyundai Motor and a South Korean battery manufacturer, this LG Energy Solution. Anyway, it's near Savannah, Georgia. It's part of a $7.6 billion Hyundai complex that the state has described as the largest manufacturing project in Georgia's history. So again, this is from the Wall Street Journal. And what I'm wondering about is right now, everything you've just said makes total sense to me politically. But I'm wondering, again, that's not a border state, Georgia. To what degree does something like this begin to damage the brand of I'm getting all of these, dirty illegals out of America, because it's actually affecting communities that were buoyed by investment by these foreign companies?
It's hard to say. I mean, we don't know because that's a different play, right? That's not the immigration play that we saw on the stump in 2024, and we'll see it in certain ways in 2026. And that's going to be what's so fascinating about the 2026 race is how do members of Congress, how do open Senate seats, how do challenged Senate seats deal with this issue that is very divisive? It is unquestionably discomforting for a lot of Americans to see people just sort of swept up in this way. It is evocative of other countries, not of the United States. And there is a difference between saying build a wall and actually, stopping people on their way to pick their children up at public school and arresting them, deporting them, not only deporting them, sending them to countries that they've never been to or have no affiliation with. So this is a story that is yet to be written in terms of how it plays out politically, but it is not without risk. And it's not without risk in a state like Georgia that has a Senate race there, John Ossoff running for re-election. There are going to be, I think, ramifications to this policy. In some cases, it may help, but my guess is that if immigration is on the ballot, then it's not going to be a winner for Republicans in this way. But again, I've been wrong on the way they do this before. But I've always thought immigration was a good issue for Republicans. I just don't know that they're handling it in the way that they ought to this time. They've done a good job with it, keeping it as kind of a boogeyman and saying we got to build a wall. That was sort of excellent politics, as unfortunate as they were. But I do think that this might be a little different.
Yeah, interesting. I think that the idea somehow that the growth of Department of Homeland Security, which is, of course, swelled to be the biggest agency in Washington, and the aggressive tactics that are taken, again, these images of parents being separated from their kids, just the brutality, which has been deliberate brutality from masked agents.
And also recruitment, right? I mean, we used to see Army, Air Force, Marines, all that. We do more before 9 a.m. than most people do in a day. And now you're seeing ICE, customs enforcement on immigration, on football games and tennis matches, and I'm sure other episodic television. You're seeing ads recruiting people to ICE saying, we're going to pay your student loans. I mean, this is something like we've never seen before. And I will also say that it's very important, to criticize this if you don't like it, but immigration is an issue in all 50 states, whether Democrats like it or not. And like crime, Democrats politically are going to have to offer a plan, right? What was the undoing, or what helped Obamacare the most is that opposition wasn't enough. The Republicans didn't have an alternative. Democrats need to form some kind of an alternative to that conversation, or else it's just complaining about Trump. And we've seen that not work, or Democrats have seen that not work for quite a while.
Well, again, in a foundering economy, which I believe is going to happen as a result of many of these policies and others, that case may be easier to make. There are all kinds of worker programs that exist and can be expanded. The Bracero program, and we have a history of creating programs that could then support many of these areas of the American economy. They're going to be hurt by these aggressive policies. I want to take you to what happened yesterday on Capitol Hill, Michael Shure, with the RFK Jr. Testimony. Albert, run that. It's kind of a little bit of a clip from his testimony, and it was we'll talk on the other side and get your impressions.
Overnight, after a tense grilling of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on Capitol Hill.
Do you accept the fact that 1 million Americans died from COVID? I don't know how many died. Do you think the vaccine did anything to prevent additional deaths.
Again, I would like to see the data and talk about the data.
You have had this job for 8 months and you don't know the data about whether the vaccine saved
and
lives?
that's the problem.
How can you be that ignorant?
President Trump standing behind his handpicked choice to lead the nation's top health agencies.
It's not your standard talk, I would say, that, and that has to do with medical and vaccines. But if you look at what's going on in the world with health and look at this country also with regard to health, I like the fact that he's different.
Just last week, Kennedy ousting CDC Chief Susan Menares after less than a month on the job. Menares in a Wall Street Journal op-ed saying she refused to rubber stamp yet to be written recommendations of a vaccine advisory panel, quote, filled with people who have publicly expressed anti-vaccine rhetoric. Kennedy saying she's lying.
So you're saying she's lying?
Yes. Every conversation I had with her, there
And
were
let me get
witnesses.
this straight. This is the same person that less than a month earlier, you stood next to her and described her as unimpeachable. In a month, she became a liar?
Yeah.
A longtime vaccine skeptic, Kennedy has moved quickly to overhaul the nation's vaccine policy. The FDA narrowing the scope of people approved for the COVID vaccine this fall to just those over 65 and adults and children at high risk. Across the country, Americans telling us they're now confused and concerned about vaccine availability.
I don't know what the schedule is or what you're allowed to do or what illness you have to have in order to get it.
In that fiery hearing, Republican Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, a doctor, publicly expressing concern, reading Kennedy a letter from a worried physician.
There's no firm guidance and concern about liability if vaccines are given to a patient who requests it, but not on the current CDC list. Pharmacists are requiring a prescription now, even for patients over 65, creating a huge headache. I submit these for the record.
Without objection.
I would say effectively we're denying people vaccine.
Senator Cantwell.
You're wrong.
And John Barrasso, a surgeon and the #2 Republican in Senate leadership.
And I've grown deeply concerned. The public has seen measles outbreaks, leadership of the National Institute of Health questioning the use of mRNA vaccines, the recently confirmed director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention fired. Americans don't know who to rely on.
Democrats calling on Kennedy to resign. And after that hearing, 3 Republican senators, all of whom were critical yes votes just months ago in Kennedy's confirmation, refusing to say they still have confidence in the secretary.
Do you still have confidence in him, Senator? His ability to lead HHS?
Do you have confidence in him, Senator?
Is there a reason you're not
confidence
answering?
in what the President of the United States is doing, and I will not second it.
Boy, the fealty to Donald Trump just trumps everything else, doesn't it?
I will not second guess it, right? Confidence, and I will not second guess it. They're asking you, the reporter asking Barrasso if he's got confidence in his leadership. And what does he do with leadership? The second in charge of Senate leadership gets on an elevator without saying anything and then says, I have confidence in Donald Trump. It's just this, like you said, Mark, the fealty is extraordinary. And Bill Cassidy, Louisiana senator there, his vote could have kept Kennedy away from that job. And he voted for him. And in a way, as a doctor, it was, the biggest dereliction of Senate duty we've seen, I don't want to get too hyperbolic, but certainly in the last year, because he could have done that. And he was assured that there would be he was told that he was promised there wouldn't be a change in vaccine schedules. Kennedy has changed that, and Kennedy says he didn't break any promise to Cassidy, and Cassidy now has this on his hands.
There is an aspect to this that no one that I've seen is commenting on, and I haven't seen this written up anywhere, and maybe there's a reason for it. I'll run it past you. I watched the hearings and watched a lot of it, and I didn't feel, I think that package that we just saw represents that RFK Jr. gets owned pretty much by the committee. But if you actually watched it, you see how RFK Jr. is effectively evasive. He makes up a lot of stuff in the moment. And one of the reasons, to be frank, that he's effectively evasive has less to do with him and more to do with the format. They have 5 minutes to ask questions, and there's a lot of grandstanding and showboating and you know this better than anyone, Michael Shure, because you
It's
reported
no
on
different than most Senate hearings, right?
I get it. And so when you're trying when you're trying to extend a rope to someone that you know is full of it and is creating health policies that are killing Americans and threatening even more, you don't really have the mechanism by which you can give him that rope and let him talk because you're busy showboating yourself.
Well, what is unusual here to these sort of predictable Senate hearings that we all know is that you had Tillis and you had Cassidy and you had Barrasso really going after him harder than they ordinarily would, especially in Barrasso's case. They ordinarily would a secretary serving in Donald Trump's cabinet. Yeah, Barrasso was spineless getting on the elevator, but he did ask questions and he didn't say whether he has faith in Kennedy. And that matters because you don't usually see that. You see a partisan show. They each get their 5 minutes to grandstand, get their points across. I thought what Senator Mark Warner of Virginia did, the Democrat there, asking Kennedy about whether or not vaccines were effective, and he had no answer for it. And he said, "You've been in this thing for 8 months and you still haven't looked into that?" You know, I mean, that's, you know, this is
There
how
were
it's
great moments like that. Warner was
There
brilliant.
were great moments. And if you're going to if a cabinet secretary is going to be run out of town, it starts like this. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like at the beginning.
I want to turn to the meeting between Putin, Xi, and Modi and others. But the degree to which Modi has been driven into the arms of Xi is completely, in my judgment, a result of Donald Trump's policies and the ridiculousness with which he's treated tariff policy and India. And
Yeah, right. And I would add to that, Mark, and maybe you were about to, is what he has said about India and Pakistan as well, which matters to Modi, maybe more than tariffs do, because, you know,
that's how he got the tariff, because he wouldn't say that this India-Pakistan conflict that has gone on for so many years, Trump wanted to take a victory lap on the cessation of hostilities and wanted to claim as I say, a victory there. And he wanted Modi to say it. And he wanted Modi, the Indian leader, to recommend Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. And Modi shined him on. I mean, Modi, knowing what are you talking about? You just got here an hour ago. This thing's been going on a while.
Right.
And because of that, again, hear me, because of that, Donald Trump imposed a 50% tariff on India. Not because of any sort of economic policy or other, because Modi wouldn't recommend him for the Nobel Peace Prize. And I might labor to make the point, but I think it must be made, and then I'll shut up, that the relationship between India and the U.S. has been one that has been crafted for decades now. It's taken a long time in a kind of troubled relationship, and I feel as though Donald Trump blew it up in a week.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I can't disagree with that. And it has, look, it has implications. The first thing we think now when we see Putin is we think about Ukraine, we think about the war, we think about India and China chumming it up with this person who's waged war on Ukraine and, in a sense, Western Europe. And that's a pretty strong triple alliance right there if you look at it. Doesn't mean that, just because they're hanging out together that Modi and Xi are going to start sending in troops and artillery. But it does make you see that this is a relationship that is forming. And there are other things besides tariffs and economy that matter in the world right now. So my first instinct is to look at that as what is this interpersonal relationship going to lead to as far as aid to Putin going forward as he wages war with Ukraine. But on the subject that you're talking about, you see Modi in the arms of these two men, and all I can think of is because he was pushed out of the arms of the United States and Donald Trump. So it's not just that he found his way there. It's that he was led there because of weak policy. And I would have to say lies and fiction from Donald Trump that he couldn't believe. I mean, when people finally hear and realize, when it hits home with them, the stories that Donald Trump makes up, and I'm talking about world leaders. It happened in Canada. It happened in India now. There are consequences to that. And this is a consequence of that, unquestionably. And his kind of obsession with the Nobel Peace Prize is part of his obsession with Barack Obama. Barack Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize. So he wants to go in and make peace. As a matter of fact, he may have extended wars more than and I'm not even saying that, but he certainly hasn't created peace. I think it's a better place to stop. But he came in to the office the second time saying that these wars wouldn't have started had I been president, but I will end them. And look, Gaza is still being decimated. Ukraine and Russia are still at it, and everything that he has said about it hasn't changed. And he put an Upper East Side real estate executive in charge of Middle East policy. I'm sure Stephen Witkoff is a smart guy, but you have to have real people at the table when consequences are this high, and that's not what Donald Trump does. So this is not a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Well, the State Department, as you know, has been cored out of all of those who have deep understanding and decades of experience, institutional knowledge of the kind of relationship that India has had with the U.S., the politics of India, the disposition of India, the geography of India is key to all of this. And none of these things are known by the guy you're seeing on the right, Donald Trump, who wants this Nobel Peace Prize. And Modi, just pushed back on him. And now, as you say, you've created this situation. And again, this is one in which Americans have traditionally, I'm talking about those in the highest positions of power, regardless Republicans or Democrats, have tried to prevent, which is India sidling up to China. And that's what you have. You have India, Russia, and China all together. And you've seen it just this week. And, that's a very, very dangerous position that the U.S. has put itself in. And honestly, the Americans we've destroyed ourselves with Donald Trump. He's created a kind of, and China, I feel, sits back and watches it and goes, let's just let the Americans keep this moron doing what he's doing, because he's creating a weaker and weaker America on the world stage.
And I wouldn't want to be a South Asian in the United States illegally right now, because the longer this goes on with Modi, how is Trump going to exact revenge, through Homeland Security, right?
Wow, I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah. Let me quickly take you to Washington, D.C. I know we're running a little bit late, but I just want to get your thoughts on what's happening there. The district is a different place now. It's being occupied by these National Guard troops in part. It's a bizarre thing. It's been incredibly expensive. I think Newsom smartly pointed to the bill for the National Guard being in Washington, and it's immense. It's millions and millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars.
It is not a big, beautiful bill.
No, yeah, exactly right. It's the bill that everybody is skating from paying. And the reality is that, it's terrific that they're beautifying the city and that they're standing around, but you could have done that with people who are making a lot less than the National Guard is making, and in housed and fed and all of the kinds of expenses. But beyond that, Washington, D.C. is being dramatically affected negatively, even though Donald Trump's making it sound like it's a bed of roses. The reality is restaurants, the reservations are way, way down. And what's happened in the park police area is interesting, because the park police, and I grew up in Washington, and there's so many different police there: the embassy police, the park police, the Secret Service. There's just so many. They all have different directives, and the one directive in the park police has changed. They are now pursuing suspects and going on chases with. There have been 10 high-speed chases and 6 major car wrecks as a result of these chases. So I guess what I'm saying is this has been wildly destabilizing to life in the nation's capital. And now the president has said he wants the option to keep those National Guard troops there through December.
Yeah, well, he wants it because he wants the fight more than he wants the principle of it, I would guess, because he enjoys the fight. Look, I haven't been to Washington in a little bit. I'm going to be there later this month, and so it's hard to really speak to what the feeling is like there, other than secondhand and from people that we both know. You've been there recently, and I have lots of friends and colleagues who are there now. But the point is that this is being talked about, and Donald Trump believes that this, and the Republicans believe that this issue is a winner for them, that they are the party going into 2026 that is fighting crime. As unseemly as their methods may be, they don't care. They want to be able to say the Democrats are fighting us for wanting to fight crime. I don't know that that's going to translate well, right? Because I think at a certain point, especially with independent voters, especially when Donald Trump is not on the ballot officially, right? I mean, I know he's always on the ballot as we speak, but when his name isn't a name that's going to get people to the polling place, I don't know that this is going to be a winner for them. We will know later, and a lot's going to happen between now and then. But if he keeps them there till Christmas and he's allowed to do it, now DC is a different place, but he's talking about sending them to Chicago, talking about sending them to Maryland. That's going to change the way people there look at this president and his party too, more than anything.
Yeah. Again, this is why I like talking to you. You kind of see the politics of it, and it's a law and order thing. You're saying, it cuts both ways, but there might be a point of diminishing returns, is what I'm hearing from you.
That's the best way to distill what I just said.
I am out of time, except I do have a moment to touch on sports with you. I know you're a big tennis fan.
Yeah, we both are. We share that.
And you picked Osaka to win big last night, and she was.
Well, I did for a little while. Then it looked like Anisimova. But so if I were, let's say, making a bet on it, I would have probably in the middle of the match bet on Anisimova, and you probably had an opportunity to make some money doing that. But just in terms of what a great match it was, it's incredible, right? I mean, women's tennis is so scintillating. It's also only maximum of 3 sets, so you can make other plans that night, which you can't necessarily do with men's tennis. As we speak, Alcaraz is playing Novak Djokovic, the ageless wonder, and then later tonight, Yannick Sinner, who just plays the most beautiful tennis I've seen, will go against Felix Auger-Aliassime, the Canadian kid, and so it's going to be a good weekend of tennis and U.S. Open tennis. Especially.
What's remarkable to me is, like, you see somebody who's the American Taylor Fritz, for example, and he just looks, he's playing such a beautiful game and just really mad skills, and he's up against Sinner, who of course has even madder skills apparently. All right, and I just can't believe that Fritz is losing because he plays so insanely well. And
that's the thing. The difference between the top 2 players now is that's Sinner and Alcaraz, and you're looking at Taylor Fritz there. The difference between those two and everyone beneath them is massive, right? I mean, everyone else is really good, and these two are special. And so I don't see, without injury or when they sit out tournaments, as they did in Cincinnati, in Canada this year when Ben Shelton won a tournament, I don't see them, getting beaten other than by each other.
Yeah, so it's a perfect world where they're on a collision course, sort of at the U.S. Open. Tennis
is a funny thing because there are a lot of people that just root for your countrymen or countrywoman, right? I never understood that, right? I just root for the players that I like the most, either off the court, on the court, their game, the way their sort of demeanor. I don't care where they're from, but the U.S. Open, all these announcers and all the fans, they just love pulling for the Americans, which it has its place, I guess. But I don't know if that happens to you with tennis, Mark, where you're like, oh, she's from my country.
I'm with you. It's sort of, I'll tell you something else is sort of feeling awkward when I'm there and I see the American flag next to someone, but I'm kind of rooting for the other player, because it's not the Olympics, okay? This isn't where you have to.
It's not the Olympics. This is just it's a tennis tournament. And
what the hell is going on in the United States of America?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Michael, so grateful for your participation every week, and we will look forward to next week as well. And maybe, what's that?
we'll see you next week.
Oh, yeah. See you next week. And I was going to say, hopefully be in touch with you during some tennis, too. I like to
of course you will.
Text Michael during the matches. So, Michael Shure, everybody. Thanks, Michael. Bravo, buddy. Bravo.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
Right on, everyone. Right on.
This is no
picnic. No summer camp. That's right. Thanks for being here. If you haven't already, maybe check out our website, themarkthompsonshow.com. There you can find links to Patreon and PayPal. You can be among those who support us every show. We post the names of those who are in that community at the end of every show because you guys are the ones who make this show work. I mean, we wouldn't be on the air without your support. So very much appreciate that. While Michael Snyder gets settled, we'll get to some Florida news here. But first, Trevor Starr in Hollywood says, Mark, I just bought a car.
Woo!
So here is 0.05% of the purchase price. Yeah, that seems about right. Well, let's see. What is that purchase price, Albert? If it's, he gave us a $10.10 super chat, and he's saying that is a, he's saying it's 0.05% of the purchase price. Can you figure out what it would be?
And probably not. Math was not my subject.
I thought there was a house rule, no math on a Friday on the Thompson Show.
Okay, all right, very good. Well,
Kim, how are you?
All right.
Albert, thank you.
Very good. Somebody in the chat, 20K, says Phineas. There you go. 2K, says Agolf. All right, well, good. No one can do math on this show. Terrific. Super sticker from Kathleen Bryant for $20. Super sticker, come on, that's a lot of money.
Big shout out.
To me, that is awesome. Thank you, Kathleen Bryant. So appreciate you and everybody who throws in. Really appreciate the super sticker. Harry Magnan says in a super chat, here's one way to make your mark on the world. Thanks for your show and the community you've created. Now back to my Coachella Valley coffee. How about it, Harry Magnan?
Big shout out.
Shout out. Yeah, that Coachella Valley coffee is delicioso. Tom Graves, attention, correction from yesterday. I said Ivanka got copyright protection on voting machines in China. It was trademark protection on voting machines. Yeah, she got maybe that's I guess you've looked at it and seen she got 20 different I thought it's copyright or trademark. One of them was on voting machines. That's exactly right. Because I looked at it also. Apparently 20,000 is the number VAware says on the percentage. What was the other thing I want to recognize? Somebody who made a contribution. It's Candace Worthman, who's an OG. Big shout out.
Big shout out.
A $20 super sticker. Wow, Candace, what a great way to finish the week. Thank you. All of you generous kids. $2 from Richard Delamater. Anybody see the latest episode of South Park? Wow. I guess it was pretty good. Yeah, Michael Snyder's.
Pretty racy.
Yeah. They do racy stuff, that the South Park kids. You know that, Michael. You're kind of you like racy, don't you? You're an obscene liberal, aren't you?
That's a fair appraisal.
You're a decadent lib. Richard Delamater, nonetheless, reminds us that South Park is turning out good stuff. Vivian L. Shawa, who is an OG of this show, $10 super sticker, and thank you, Vivian L. Shawa.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to you. Yeah. Well, Albert, the time has come. The time where we evaluate your work, your week. That's right. Everything else goes out the window, Albert, because we are all about this segment. We like to feature news from the world of Florida. I'll tell you, it is a holdover from our time on the radio. We call it Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
And we start like this. A Florida man allegedly running over a foot model with a car. It was their first date.
What?
She refused to let him smell her feet. Yeah. Apparently, he was annoyed to the point that, he took away maybe one of her great assets, Kim.
Oh, girl, baby girl. Don't even play.
He ran over her feet?
El Monsi Circle, 28, allegedly arranged a meeting on the dating app Seeking with the woman who is described in all of this. It was to happen in a room at the Serena Hotel in Aventura. Man, that's a first date in a hotel room?
No judgment, Mark. No judgment.
I mean, okay. When he got there, he asked if he could smell her feet and buy her used sneakers.
Ew.
Well, he's really got, he knows what he wants, I suppose.
You just don't get it, do you?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't. You're right. The model who requested anonymity in this case told a Circle that he would have to fork over $1,000 for the shoes, and she would have to retrieve them from her car. He did not agree to this hefty rate, and the model went to use the bathroom inside the hotel room, according to the complaint. When I got there, he just wanted to sniff my feet, she said, and I didn't feel comfortable with that. I mean, you could have my sneakers all you want, she said, and, you know, they're just stinky old sneakers, but people like weird things, she said. While in the restroom, the model heard Circle run out of the room and thought that he had stolen something from her. She ran into the parking lot, of course, and when she saw him driving in a red Mercedes SUV, he passed her. Then he did a three-point turn and ran over her with the SUV.
What? No, that's a career ender.
The foot model required immediate medical attention, suffered road rash, bruising to her back, arms, and chest after she was struck. The foot lover arrested after he attempted to book another room in the same hotel.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It's definitely a wild idea.
Did he have back-to-back dates? Was there another lady coming up?
You know, Mark, give him a foot and they try to take a mile.
I love it. Circle has been charged with aggravated battery, and Albert has shared with you the booking photo, and I'll say he's a nice young man. Yeah, that looks you know, in the nicest families, some of the weirdest fetishes. You can rate him on the booking scale that we employ on this show. But, you know, sometimes the heart wants what it wants, and sometimes it wants feet.
I would have given him
Florida
a 7,
man
but I have to downgrade it to a 6 because of the foot fetish.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, that's in the bylaws. I don't really see that as,
I don't know where kink shaming goes into the scoring, though, Kim.
Yeah,
I don't
appreciate
without
that.
thinking of his face and smashed in between toes.
Think about the promotional tie-ins with Desinex and the like. Oh my God.
Desinex, yeah, that's the foot powder. Yeah, very good. I like it. Michael's always thinking of how to monetize. Florida man hunting down and eating large invasive creatures. He says these things are huge and they are everywhere. The changing climate, the rising temperatures, I don't need to tell you how havoc is being wrought on plants and animals around the world. Species habitats have been threatened by disease and relocation. Climate-driven extinctions. And invasive species are especially dangerous, and habitats already threatened are being affected by the introduction of these foreign species. Here you can see this guy. Albert is sharing with you the holding up of... What is that, Albert? That's
an iguana, and this is a special one. This is my girlfriend loves TikTok. This guy is all over her TikTok, and he hunts and cooks and eats all the parts of the iguana, which is
Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commissions say that green iguanas are an invasive species in the state. Their feeding habits threaten local vegetation and wildlife. They've been found to eat endangered tree snails, Nickerbean, which is a plant that holds butterflies, endangered butterflies. So to fight back against the invasive species, you see, he does his thing. And he actually shows you how to stir fry this invasive species. It looks so cute being held there in the in his grasp, but apparently not so cute.
Iguana, try that, though.
A Florida man is wielding a machete. Don't laugh at that. Machete.
Can Michael Shure always come to Friday Fabulous
Oh, yeah,
Florida?
but because of the new location of Friday Fabulous Florida, he can't.
It's Michael Snyder, though, Kim. But
I'm sorry, Michael
appreciate
Snyder.
the
Yeah.
confusion.
My bad. I'm sorry.
You just woo.
Florida man
inundated with
wielding a machete in a Walmart. There's a lot of Florida happening here. It's a machete. It's a Walmart. It's a guy wielding it. He is arrested. Body cam footage shows officers arresting a Vero Beach man. There were reports of him walking around Walmart with a machete, and that is now illegal in Florida.
Wow.
We're showing you that footage now.
Guns are okay, but machetes aren't? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the deal. Got to know what's okay and what's not in
It
Florida.
would be so cool at a Walmart, Kim, carrying your machete.
Lawrence Mansfield Fountain, 33 years old. He's from Vero Beach, charged with aggravated battery on an officer. You see, when they came in, he had the old resisting arrest thing going. And he did have the machete. He's also accused of a bunch of other things like disturbing the peace, petty theft. I mean, you don't bring a machete into Walmart without wanting to pocket some things. So he is in the St. Lucie County Jail on $512,000 bond. I'm guessing he's not going anywhere for a while. But during the interaction, the cop and the machete-wielding man were injured. They were transported to a Florida hospital. So this was an incident that was no laughing matter, Kim. And he there can be seen on the body cam footage, annoyed that he is being detained.
He pulled that machete out really fast. Did you see that? How quick he, it was like once it's in the cart and then all of a sudden he's swinging it.
Norm thinks it's a small machete. Look at you, all about size. Norm, it's not about the size of the machete. It's all what you do with it. So we need to pick a favorite. I don't want to pick a favorite, but we have to. It's in the bylaws of Friday Fabulous Florida. I'll remind you, it's the Florida man running over the foot model's foot and the rest of her body on their first date after she refused to let him smell her feet. The Florida man hunting down large invasive creatures and then showing you how to eat them. And the Florida man wielding the machete in Walmart, ultimately arrested. Kim, your favorite, please.
While I appreciate a good machete story, and it is quintessential Florida, I have to go with the foot smeller this time and the sad ending to that first date.
Yes, you're right. That was a little curious, and he had enough bizarreness maybe to vault it to the top.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite, Michael Snyder?
I would say the foot fetishist by the length of a toe beats out the machete.
All right,
But
wow.
the machete, though, could kind of lop off one of the toes.
Oh,
But you
I
could
see,
actually
you're
combine both stories, and maybe not.
You're always writing, aren't you? Machete guy says Nellifidian. Foot model, somebody else said. Foot smelling, says Lee Kopp. Iguana chef, says Rhonda. Boy, they're all over the road. Tell me what leads in the poll, please, Albert.
No time for the poll since we're trying to move along, but it's pretty split on the foot guy and the iguana story.
What'd you think, Mark?
I'm sorry, I like a machete of any size, so I go for the machete, and it was at Walmart, which to me just makes it, too perfect to ignore. But you're right, for pure exotic bizarre, I could definitely understand foot guy. Like, I'm not fighting you on that at all. Albert, did you have a favorite?
I like the iguana guy. It's if you watch it, it's terrifying. You kind of want to gag the whole time, but it's at least it's not you eating and partaking in that. It's someone else.
That is Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now, here.
Well, that was really special.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It is with the greatest anticipation that we welcome in someone who has been the longtime writer on music, on movies, on television, on life, on culture. He's quite amazing. In fact, culture is part of his title. He comes and goes on a rainbow. He is the culture blaster. He is Michael Snyder, everyone. Hi, Michael.
Well, hello. It's Friday, and I'm happy to be here on the Mark Thompson Show. And, you had your sick day last Friday, and I'm glad you're here with us. I myself could be lounging around on my super yacht sipping Coachella Valley coffee, but no, I come to MTS HQ to bring you the word on popular culture and other detritus. And I do still have the chance to sip Coachella Valley coffee.
Yes, I made a bigger pot so you could have some today because I recalled you not being happy.
It's the green room delight, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm all about superhero comics, and I do part-time development work in Hollywood, as you know.
Yeah.
Well, I am delighted to let you know that my latest movie project has been greenlit. It's all about a teenage boy from a Louisiana coastal town who is bitten by a radioactive shrimp and gains the proportionate strength and agility of a shrimp. I'm kind of at a loss for a name, but I think it'll come to me sooner or later.
That's as topical as today's headlines, isn't it?
I don't know. Have you had any of the radioactive shrimp?
The radioactive shrimp is delicious this time of year, particularly. It's pointed out that detritus, or detritus, as you said, is a ding word. So
we do what we can to satisfy the chat.
Yeah.
But let's talk some movies. What do you say?
Let's do it. Get in.
Okay. The Conjuring Last Rites is the fourth and purportedly final movie in the Conjuring horror franchise, not counting the Nun and Annabelle spin-offs. I mean, the main movies, which have The Conjuring in their title, as in the previous one, which was called The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Like the punchline in the Flip Wilson drag sketches.
That's a callback.
These movies are about the real-life paranormal investigating married couple, Lorraine and Ed Warren, and they're supposedly based on real incidents in the life and times of the Warrens. And the Warrens are played once more in this movie, Last Rites, by the fine actors Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson. I've always thought that casting these performers in these roles was like using a bazooka to kill a fly. They're so talented, yet there they are, right? Anyway, Last Rites is kind of a rote mashup of every horror trope used in the previous Conjuring and Conjuring adjacent movies. I see you, demon-possessed Annabelle doll. I see you. There you are in the corner of their little basement museum. Apparently, their daughter, who was born under dicey circumstances, stillborn, but, the breath of life entered her lungs, is now a young woman, and she's about to marry a guy. And, of course, now is the perfect time for her connection to the spirit world to manifest as a Pennsylvania family is being terrorized by what appears to be a ghost or demon from a mirror that they have somehow ended up with in their, home. And so the Warrens are brought in, including the daughter and, of course, the fiance. And, let's just say that 2 of the 3 cardinal rules for people in horror movies were flat out ignored. You know the rules, Mark. Don't go in the basement. Don't go in the attic. And don't go in the woods. 2 of the 3 of them are ignored. And, of course, crazy hauntings and bizarre demonic possessions ensue. There are jump scares, and you do get okay performances. But all that aside, this is perfunctory filmmaking, especially when compared to the first 2 movies in the series, which I like considerably more. Last Rites is the title. Let's hope so. Maybe they could have conjured a better script. I don't know. Anyway, it is in theaters nationwide. And, let's be honest, James Wan, the guy who co-created this or created this, has, directed the Aquaman film for DC. He's part of the, a very beloved Jigsaw franchise, the Saw movies. But God, I don't know. I don't know, man. I guess I've just had
couldn't
enough.
get you there, and you're a horror guy, so
I am.
That's
So
a disappointment.
now I want to talk about a more adult film that actually excited me and was an absolutely unexpected treat. And I actually think it's an early contender for my 2025 top 10 list.
Wow.
It is called Twinless. And it was written and directed by actor James Sweeney, who appears in the movie in one of the 2 main roles. And it's about 2 guys that meet in a twin support group for twins who have lost their twin.
Oh,
Their
wow.
twin has died.
Sure.
They're aimless. Apparently twins are always super connected from birth. And if you lose that other half of yourself, if you will, it could be rather traumatic. So these 2 guys, Roman, played by Dylan O'Brien, who was initially in the Maze Runner movies. He's recently in Love and Monsters, and he played Dan Aykroyd in the Saturday Night film. He's a terrific actor, and he has a dual performance as Roman and his late twin, Rocky. And Dennis is the other guy, and they meet. Dennis is played by James Sweeney, and they meet at this support group, and they connect. And clearly, Dennis is looking for a friend, a companion. He's, unashamedly a gay man. He's gainfully employed. But for some reason, he gloms onto this guy, Roman. And Roman, who has been shattered by the loss of his twin, albeit a twin that, he was in conflict with, and a twin, incidentally, that was gay, and he himself is straight, he kind of gravitates to this guy. But it turns out that Dennis is not exactly what he seems. It is incredibly troubling and sad and sweet and funny. You know what? Rate Twinless P for poignant. There are some really lovely moments here. And again, a phenomenal dual performance by Dylan O'Brien as Roman and his now late twin. There's also a co-worker at Dennis's office, Marcy, played by Eileen Franciosi, and she's adorable. She's like super positive. She's every cheerleader and, supportive young woman you've ever seen bundled into one person. And as things become more and more apparent to Roman, things get a little more problematic. I thought Twinless was something else, and I highly recommend it.
Wow.
It is currently in select theaters, and I hope that it gets the attention that it deserves, and I hope more and more people get a chance to see it.
Wow, you really liked it.
I did. Okay, here's another movie for grown-ups that I really liked, and it's a lot more comedic and more of a feel-good film. So maybe in these treacherous times, it's a cure for what ails us, at least in the short term. It's called The Baltimoreans. And as you might guess from the title, The Baltimoreans is set in the great working-class metropolis of Baltimore, Maryland. I have one friend from Baltimore, Gina Schock, the drummer from the Go-Go's, is such a Baltimorean that she has retained her Baltimore accent, and it's kind of crazy to hear her talking and saying this, that, and the other in Baltimoreese. But anyway, if the title, The Baltimoreans, seems like a silly reference or a smear of the great people of Baltimore,
yes,
it does crop up in the course of the movie, although not in the way you expect it will. This is a genuinely funny, uplifting, quirky, and earthy comedy about two people finding one another on Christmas Eve while perambulating around Baltimore in a sort of gentle night of the soul with revelations and realizations. And it's been made by one half of the comedic mumblecore filmmaking siblings, the Duplass brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Both actors, both writers, both directors. And Jay co-wrote the script with the male lead, Chris Strassner, who is a big bear of a man. So Strassner plays a struggling comedian and recovering alcoholic named Cliff, who is accompanying his fiancée to Christmas dinner at her family's house. He doesn't think her mother is too fond of him, and that opinion may worsen when he breaks a tooth right as the festivities are about to begin, such as they are. And now he has to somehow find a dentist on Christmas Eve, and the only one who will open her office and treat the tooth is a no-nonsense woman named Dee Dee, played by Liz Larson. And due to a series of mishaps, Cliff and Dr. Dee Dee end up together for most of Christmas Eve, turning both of their lives upside down in very amusing and heartwarming ways. Look, it's only September, but I think this will be my favorite Christmas movie of the year. As a rom-com, The Baltimoreans is more calm than rom. I really liked it. And I liked its two main characters. One of these one-night odyssey through an urban landscape, either solo like After Dark or a two-hander like this one, could be a stretch or just contrived. But Strassner and Larson give it a kind of this easy, natural vibe. And the script by Strassner and Duplass avoids the usual Christmas cliches. One more quick note. The lively score seems cribbed from the stylings of the cool jazz pianist and Bay Area legend Vince Guaraldi, who did A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Sure, of course.
And that's kind of we've talked about cheat codes before. That's kind of a musical cheat code if you're looking to set up a whimsical movie around the holidays and kind of generate affection for it.
Sure, I agree.
It doesn't matter, though. This film was delightful. It's in select theaters, and it starts this weekend in New York City. opens in Los Angeles next week, and it'll roll out to San Francisco.
Love it. The Baltimoreans, it's called.
Yes, it is.
What else do you have, Michael Snyder, a great culture blaster?
Let's talk about a movie that's more rom than com, as opposed to more com than rom, and it's called The Threesome. It does some pleasingly unexpected things with its story, and the story is about a night of fun and sexual escapades that has unexpected repercussions for 3 young people. And this is sort of it was surprising on so many levels. It stars essentially Zoe Deutsch, who is the worthy Nepo baby daughter of actress Leah Thompson and director Howard Deutsch. And I've loved this woman's performances since I first saw her in Everybody Wants Some, which is a great Richard Linklater movie that too few people have seen. Here she plays kind of, she works at a bar and restaurant, and this guy, played by Jonah Hauer King, has had this crush on her forever. She's Olivia, and he's Connor, and for some reason the stars are in alignment, as they say, and he ends up flirting with a young customer named Jenny. And Olivia finds her attractive, and they end up in bed together. It's like one night of exciting passion, hence the title, The Threesome. Yeah. But again, there are repercussions that end up dogging them. And Zoe Deutsch is like this. There's a movie, there's an album by 9 Inch Nails called Pretty Hate Machine. She's kind of like Pretty Snark Machine. She's kind of got a great sense of humor, and she's very cynical, but she's incredibly appealing. And I guess everybody hits their marks and does a good job here. And again, some of the supporting players are really, people that I've always admired. And they include, believe it or not, Julia Sweeney, who plays Connor's mom. And we haven't seen her much in films lately and not much on TV. And it's nice to see her face. And again, I love Zoe Deutsch. The movie was directed by Chad Hartigan. The screenwriter, Ethan Ogilvy. This is not great filmmaking, but it is very charming and entertaining. And it does, like I said, unexpected things. It never devolves into something sordid or lurid. It's
How much sex is there in it, Michael? I don't like the sex on the screen. I'm an old fogey who just is made uncomfortable by it.
It's tastefully done, Mark.
All right, thank you.
I don't want to upset you by saying
I like the
otherwise.
old school. They put a necktie on the what, the banister or
sure.
Whatever.
No. This is in select theaters, and it's going to play well at home on video. All right, let's talk about something people can watch on Apple Plus right now. It was in theaters, been in theaters for almost 2 weeks. If you're a fan of Akira Kurosawa's taut and clever 1963 police procedural High and Low, which was a very different beast than his period samurai epics. Kurosawa, one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. This movie, High and Low, was about a successful Japanese businessman who's trying to control this major shoe company where he's on the board of directors. And he wants to buy out everybody else. He wants to use all of his money, but a kidnapper mistakenly abducts his chauffeur's son to ransom this guy for 30 million yen. Wow. And Spike Lee has decided to do his own version of this. It's an update. It's called Highest to Lowest.
Yeah.
And you might be wary of it if you love the Kurosawa movie. And this is not in that ballpark. It's not in that league. But it's a crime drama, which does benefit from the filmmaker reuniting with Denzel Washington for the 5th time. These guys got together and have done
What other movies have they done?
Oh, my God. Mo Better Blues, Malcolm X, He Got Game, Inside Man, which is one of the more conventional films by Lee, but one that I absolutely adore.
What was Inside Man about?
It's a bank robbery. Denzel is a cop. It's really a terrific film.
I'm going to check that out too.
Anyway, these are all better movies to my mind than Highest to Lowest, but he is one of our best filmmakers, and he's got Denzel. And
how do you go wrong?
So Denzel plays a well-to-do music business executive, hip-hop division. He doesn't work for a shoe company. Spike Lee wants to get with the current culture and what have you. So he has some unexpected financial challenges. There could be a hostile takeover, and he learns that his son has been kidnapped and a massive ransom demand is delivered, but complications bring the executive's chauffeur and confidant, played by Jeffrey Wright, by the way, the great Jeffrey Wright, into the middle of the plot. There's beautiful cinematography of present-day New York City and the Bronx, showing off Lee's beloved metropolis in fab fashion. But Highest to Lowest is replete with Lee's stylistic quirks, which sometimes seem there for the sake of it rather than elevating the narrative. He also insists, and I understand why it's set in New York, in shoehorning certain overfamiliar cultural aspects of the area that he cherishes into the movie. For example, the Yankees and their fans on a subway ride. And I guess that's his prerogative, and it's enhanced quite a few of his movies. And the score for this one seems overwhelmingly intrusive, sometimes threatening to drown out the drama and even the action. But it's Spike Lee, and there are moments that actually snap and crackle, as I like to say.
Yeah.
And it's Denzel. I wish it was better. Maybe I'm in the minority. I thought it was okay, and you can watch it on Apple TV Plus if you have the subscription.
Sure.
I want to wrap up quickly here with a movie.
I love it when you wrap up quickly. What's going on?
A movie based on the life of, are you ready? Leni Riefenstahl.
She was the propagandist for the Nazis.
Right, Hitler's favorite filmmaker, if you will. This movie, Riefenstahl, comes in the wake many years later after a documentary on her life that revealed a lot about her origins, the work, her relationship to the Reich. It was called The Wonderful, Horrible Life of Leni Riefenstahl, and it was released in 1993. And this movie brings some of that footage in, particularly the interview footage, but it does a bang-up job of contextualizing it and giving it current relevance as regards the rise of fascism and the power of targeted propaganda in our own country. I mean, you can't help but think about it as you're watching what she did, and in the context of what she did, how it affected the populace. It's chilling, and her brilliance as a filmmaker is undeniable, and it's seen here in fits and starts. She started out as an actress in Germany in mountain movies, which were these very specific films set generally in the German Alps, and they were exciting. They were adventures, and she was rather a good climber. And you know, she did these risky roles, and it transitioned her from that into filmmaking on her own. And it's her self-delusion and increasingly obvious lies, her prevarication, and her claims of innocence regarding her work for the Reich and her relationship with Hitler and the Nazi high command that really becomes startling. They focus in on that using archival interview footage.
So this is a documentary.
It is indeed, and it gives this look at her life, sting, and value in modern day America.
Wow.
The movie, again, Riefenstahl, is going to be, I guess, streaming in October, but it is in select theaters right now, meaning New York, LA, I think San Francisco next week. And I thought it was compelling and an important movie and an important life to revisit.
At an important time for a movie like this.
What a time to revisit that. And that's it in movie
I'm
land.
very impressed with the speed and yet thoroughness with which you reviewed all these films. And I will even more speedily and with less thoroughness review for everyone your reviews.
Okay.
Riefenstahl, based on the Leni Riefenstahl life as a propagandist for the Third Reich.
By the way, her name, her nickname is Leni. I guess it's short for Helene.
I see. So it's Leni. Thank you.
I never knew that.
Documentary, and Michael says it's in select theaters, although it'll probably be streaming before long. Highest to Lowest is the Spike Lee film. It's a remake of the Akira Kurosawa film. It's got Denzel Washington. It's got a whole hip-hop updated kind of feel.
Yeah. A$AP Rocky's in this thing, if you're a fan of...
I never miss an A$AP Rocky offering of any kind.
The modern tunes.
Heavily scored, but Michael says it's okay. It's really okay. But it's just okay.
It's not amongst his best films.
The threesome is more rom than com, but it's a night of fun sexual escapades from three young people that kind of turns wild.
It gets kind of strange. It has lasting repercussions that are dealt with in the film, and I found that to be exciting and engaging.
Wow. Zoe Deutsch, whose adorableness transcends the screen for Mark Thompson, and Jonah Howard King, and Julie Sweeney is among
Ruby Cruz, the young actress who plays the third part of the...
Ruby Cruz is in the threesome.
Yes, she is, and she's really, really good, too.
Is she more Ruby or is she more Cruz?
She was cruising the night they all got together.
The Baltimoreans is a comedy Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, says it's uplifting, it's quirky, it's genuinely enjoyable. It's from the Duplass brothers, or Duplass brothers, as you may say. And this story takes place with the fiance's parents' house and the cliff for chipping his tooth. He ends up with the
dentist.
It's a kind of fun situational thing, a Vince Guaraldi type score throughout. He says the Culture Blaster may be his favorite Christmas movie of the year.
We haven't seen any more Christmas movies to date. It's only September, but I'm guessing. I'm guessing.
Twinless is directed by actor James Sweeney. The twins meeting in a support group for twins who've lost the other twin, the other brother or sister. Dylan O'Brien, it's poignant. Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, likes it. It's in select theaters.
Yeah, and one of the questions is, and it's an important one, is the character played by Sweeney. Did I say Sweeney?
Yeah, is that not what it is?
No, it's Sweeney. Is that character actually a twin who lost his twin?
Oh, that's a really great twist.
Well, no, I mean, I don't want to get into too many details. He might be,
Oh, I love that twist.
He might be a tragic, a victim of tragedy.
I love this even more. Michael hopes we all see it. He likes it, and it's in select theaters.
Twinless.
And he started with The Conjuring. Michael is a fan, the Culture Blaster is, of horror. This is The Conjuring Last Rites. It's the fourth movie in the main horror franchise, The Conjuring. Not a great script, but a great cast. But ultimately, it didn't really move the Culture Blaster's meter.
No, it did not.
Michael?
Yes, sir.
I so appreciate your input on so many of these projects. And I want to note that you used a couple of ding words along the way. Tom Dusenberry is our keeper of the ding. Replete, he wants to ding you for that. And perfunctory certainly is a ding word.
Oh, please.
He wanted to ding you for prevarication, which you used. I will not ding you for it. And here is why. Because I felt that you overran with the use of prevarication, meaning you'd already made the statement about lies, and you added the word prevarication, and I felt because it was an add-on, it no longer deserves a ding.
I essentially used it as a synonym.
Right, right. But look, you more than served up.
Thanks.
Evidence of your great writing skills.
I do what I can.
All right.
A quick note.
Yes.
I was at an art opening last night, Lucky Cat Labs downtown.
Okay.
Fembot. It was all woman artists, and my God, a local artist who goes by the name of Art of July did these exquisite canvases. It was a really wonderful evening, and I will be at La Luz de Jesus for a group show tonight. At Think Space tomorrow night in the Hive. I'm going to have an art weekend in preparation for Sunday's big showdown between the Niners and the Seahawks up in Seattle. We kick off the NFL season, 49er fans, on Sunday. As a Philadelphia native, I obviously watched the Eagles versus the Cowboys last night and was grateful that the Eagles beat the evil empire from Dallas. But I am highly wired for Sunday's big match between the Niners and the Seahawks, and still hoping that the Giants can sneak into the playoffs. This is my 40 seconds of sports.
Well, you've got quite a weekend planned with sports and all those other artistic endeavors to which you've become accustomed to including in your life. You are a sophisticate, and you're still a crazy comic book nerd. That's why we love you. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster.
Hey, be on the lookout for Shrimp Man. It's coming.
Thank you, Michael Snyder. Well, I don't know what to say, except I do want to mention
Thompson Show.
Chaplain Fred. I live the Florida segment, but I wonder what Floridians would find about us here in California. Of course, you could pick any state, and you could have the same fun that we have. But we've chosen Florida. We chose it long ago, and so it becomes our world on Fridays. I spend my nights thinking, says Inlays, what will Mark's comments be on the news tomorrow? Love my Mark Thompson. Wow. Thank you, Inlays. Wow, that's extraordinary on a Friday. I don't mind going into the weekend. Knowledge like that. I will comment on this next week. I did see this. Trump's DOJ is considering banning trans people from buying guns. You know, this is a play for a cultural wedge issue. They love these cultural wedge issues. The trans issue is one of their favorites. You know, as you know, the latest shooting, the one that took place in that church at that school, that was done by someone who is trans, but the trans part of it seems like it's a footnote to everything. It's not even, it was not a motivation. It wasn't a centerpiece of any kind. And more to the point, if you're going to be banning weapons from those who, you know, commit these acts based on profiles of their lives, well, trans people don't get into this at all. I mean, this, you know, why don't you go after young white kids? That's what it is. Young white men. Why don't you ban them? I mean, there's an absurdity to it, but as I say, it's all politics. Sadly, they don't care about the loss of life.
What's the
They
name?
care about the politics of the moment.
What's the name for the people who don't get any attention from women? The incels.
Yeah.
How about ban the
right.
incels? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. You don't hear about that. There are a couple of other comments I'd like to maybe bounce them to next week, although I really appreciate them. And you can go through the chat and find those comments in there. And there are some great comments along the way. Sorry we didn't get a chance to get to all of them. I do want to mention that Monday is a special show. Gary Dietrich with the politics of the moment. There's a lot going on geopolitically, internationally, and more to the point, because we're so lucky that Gary does make regular appearances here on Monday. But this Monday, we have a special interview with someone who's never been on the show before, and his story is riveting. It's an amazing story of escaping the Church of Scientology and the bizarre specifics of Jamie Mustard's life. They are insanely revelatory, both in terms of his life and those details, but also in terms of the Church of Scientology. I promise you, this is nothing you've seen on Leah Remini. This is nothing you have read about in the book Going Clear. You have to see this interview Monday. It is appointment viewing. So that will be on Monday's show. Jamie Mustard, and he has gone on. His story is not just about Scientology. It's what happened after he left the church, as it's called, of Scientology as well. So all of that happens on Monday. And with that, I thank my Albert for getting things together today. Thank you, Albert.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah. And Kim for getting breaking news going today as well.
Kim, how are you?
Any number of things going on, that big immigration raid in Boston and all of that news related to the crazy tech dinner where all the tech bros are sitting there in the Billionaire Boys Club around the table with Melania and Daddy Trump, and they're paying homage to the great savior that is Donald Trump. I know we all want a dinner like that where the whole family lavishes praise on us and none of us get it unless we're president of the United States. So, After Party Live is happening over the After Party Live channel. Have a great weekend, everyone, and until next week.
I'm Shadow Stevens for The Mark Johnson Show. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Wish
Out of time. Bye-bye.
There you have it. Out of time. Bye-bye.